Giant 2025. I went to this preview screening for Cineworld Unlimited members because this film is released in January 2026. It's a biographical sports drama and it's about Prince Nazim Hamid. Prince was added as a nickname and to guess give him some unique status. He's someone I'm familiar with simply with the name because, like a few boxers, he became a household name in the 90s. I'm not a fan of boxing or boxing films for that matter, but I liked Christie 2025 last month, and with the protagonist of this film also being marginalized, an underdog, and that was clear from the start. I warmed to him to some extent, a fair bit of an extent, because he really got a lot of nasty, he was a recipient of a lot of nasty attitudes and horrific language from the locals, really disgusting. And yet, his trainer encouraged him to rise above it, and I guess it became part of the repercussions later on. But in a sense, one good thing about Nazim is he has he's always got displays it throughout this film, the character, a huge amount of confidence. He's so cocky, he's so sure of himself, and that's quite impressive. Although I can I can see it being too much in some respects, but he was, um, when you see him as a lad, he looks so small, and yet he's got this bravado, this um, amazing attitude, really, that gets him places, and it really helped. So all the booing, the hostility, the nastiness, well, he rose above it. He proved himself. It shows him early on. Um, he is trying to get into the ring by flipping in a sort of somersault, front way somersault over the upper rope, and people laugh at him because he's not managing. And then he does it, and it's just like practice. It shows that it works. Thing is, we we see him right at the start of the film. The opening scene is from 1997, and he's really at the top of his game. He's at Madison Square Gardens, the Garden, as it was called. But we then travel back to Sheffield in South Yorkshire, here in England, and um, he's a very small, slight lad relative to like um, the others. I mean, he's like, I looked him up, and he's 160 centimeters tall, 5'3", and he's weather featherweight champion. He's um, 57 kilos, which is, you know, so I guess he could look after himself. But we see him in 1981, so he's backtracked 16 years, and he was born in 1974, so he's 7 years old, and we meet the trainer, Brendan Ingle, who's played by Pierce Brosnan. I was slightly aware that Pierce Brosnan was Brosnan was in this film, but I didn't recognise him. He's, like, really good. Um, I just, didn't really think of who was playing him as an actor, but, the Irish roots, um, uh, he, he was I mean, what happens is there's a lot of ego in this. I mean, I suppose you could tell that with Nas, but, it becomes more of a clash, um, and, Brendan realizes that, his wife warns him. His wife, Catherine, no, Alma, is played by Catherine Dowell Blyton, and she notices when he's losing a grip on Nas, and of course, it's quite clear. I mean, it's explained later on. Nas explains why he feels this way in a kind of it's like a reconciliation scene. Um, Now, and this is dramatization, so not all of this comes true. I mean, there's some blurb at the end of the film that explains that some things kind of didn't happen right at the end. And I guess it just was a nice way of showing certain situations. But most of the film is like these key boxing matches. So Robinson, Medina, Johnson, Badillo, Kelly. I wouldn't know the names, but they all come up big on the screen as he progresses from matches. He really angers people in Welsh, in Cardiff, um, but in many of the English arenas as well. I mean, he's got this sort of as well as the somersaulting over the rope. He's got this kind of dance. He creates a spectacle. He talked up. I mean, you see that a lot in boxing. That's about the only thing I really know about boxing is that all it's talking. I mean, that comes up in Christie as well. But um, it, I mean, it's seen as unfair, but some of the people say it's overwhelming his opponents, um, and people objected to the choreography. I mean, it made it almost. I mean, it wasn't quite like wrestling. My granddad used to talk about that. He used to watch all the time wrestling, but also boxing, and he used to talk a lot about Sheffield since he worked there, City of Steel, and he talked about the gangs and how rough it was in the mid 20th century. And so I was sort of thinking quite a lot about that, but um, seeing it from the perspective of Nas in the during the 17 years as he builds up um, towards success, and how I mean, there's Frank Warren as well, who's like a promoter, and I suppose things start. You know that thing's going to fall apart. That's not really a spoiler. I mean, every film, I know there was going to be some sort of downfall because you don't just. I guess people do retire when they hit the top, quit while they're ahead, but most of the time, people reach a point where things start to go wrong, and that um, that's the what probably what does happen to some extent here. How much it happens? I mean, I had to look through the Wikipedia entry, and there was a lot that wasn't covered about him. And so I was kind of, as far as boxing people concerned, I was sort of like, just during watching this film, I was like, a minor fan, thinking, kind of rooting for him, even though his arrogance was like, oh, it's just, it is kind of pride comes before a fall, as people say. Oh, and then there's like when Brendan says, "Naz, you're going to Mecca to fight," and it's just like, "Oh, can't fight in Mecca. They won't allow that." No, I mean the garden. I mean, Madison Square Gardens, of course. Um, Naz has this whole idea about having all these flashcards, having huge amount of wealth, and it's that I suppose got me into that sort of losing a bit of sympathy. But you can see why the people involved, like Brendan and his sons, who were instrumental, involved as well. I mean, they were in a way more angry, or at least that's how it comes across in this film. Uh, Brendan just seems, guess, disappointed when Naz bigs up his um, promoters still as the best in the world, and then kind of ignores Brendan and talks about how his success is down to Allah as well as his own prowess. And so there's all that sort of stuff. There's a lot of that comes out, and um, um, yeah, I don't know. It it's an interesting film to watch, but um, in a way, I I think what I'm going to do is score it 7.75 because it isn't my sort of interest area. But as far as a film that is in an area that I'm not particularly interested, well, I was I followed it. It kept my attention throughout. So um, I think you know that's I think it's not a bad film really. Um, it's really I thought it was quite interesting to watch. Clash of Egos, fights over money, the sort of the ugly side of anything that where success gets to someone's head, I guess. Um, but it's yeah, I thought it's an all right film. So love to know what you think. 7.75. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you've seen it. Um, please like if you like this review. Um, thanks for watching. Thanks if you subscribe. Please hit the notification button. And I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.